Have you ever had some of those days or weeks where everything just feels a bit shit? You know those feelings, stiff in every joint, sore in every muscle, irritable, annoyed, and tired? Well, so has every single athlete that I've ever worked with. They go through varying levels of feeling shit every day. When you have all of those feelings, it can seem impractical and overwhelming to try to find ways to feel better. But what if I told you there's a simple, actionable framework that's evidence-based that can help you understand what you're experiencing, but more importantly, help you recover both effectively and efficiently? I'm going to dive into my shit recovery framework. This is a concept that I've created and shared over the last number of years based on my years of experience working with elite athletes in a variety of different sports. The shit framework is about giving you a roadmap to navigate your feelings. And by the end of this video, you'll have an easy to integrate framework that you can implement today to start helping you navigate daily decisions about recovery and performance. So what does the SHIT acronym stand for? It's an acronym for 4 key areas that contribute to your readiness, recovery, and performance levels. S is for stiff, H is for heavy, I is for irritable, and T is for tired. Catchy, right? But also incredibly powerful. Let's break down each one of those. But first, let me position this framework with a little bit of context. The SHIT framework is best used in a morning check-in scenario. This check-in scenario is something that athletes do every day. They may use some objective data like sleep, hydration, body weight, and even some performance variables, but will also always use subjective responses. Combining this data, both objective and subjective, is the key to using the SHIT recovery framework and helping you prepare for training and exercise. The SHIT framework does assume that you have some basics in place already. Good sleep duration and consistency and quality, strong and sound nutrition principles, and a good performance program in place. Now to the good shit. First up, S for stiff. I define stiff as the inability to move as freely as desired. Now, if you're an athlete of any level, you will have experienced some level of stiffness. This can occur from general training, your sport, gym, contact, or even travel or sitting for long periods. This is one of the key reasons why I've separated out stiffness and soreness. We'll get to that in a little bit. The best example I can give is for travel. Think about the last time you did any sort of long travel. Usually you feel quite stiff after this, maybe in your lower back, your groins, your T-spine, your neck. However, you don't have muscle soreness with this, as you haven't done any damaging training. The recovery interventions to reduce stiffness, in this case, are different to reducing soreness. Some of the strategies that you can use to support or reduce stiffness are things like general movement and mobility, massage, and even using a massage gun can support reducing stiffness. I'd also consider things like heat application, so local heat onto certain areas, joints or muscles, and also contrast bathing, so flipping between hot and cold. Within that general movement, you can also consider things like cycling, walking, swimming, anything active that's going to get some blood flow going. H is for heavy, heavy-legged or high muscle soreness. This is a key one that pretty much every athlete will have experienced to a wide range throughout their training journey. The first thing which I mentioned earlier was, have you got your nutrition principles in place, particularly around carbohydrate and protein? These are 2 key macronutrients that are going to support with helping reduce muscle soreness. Depending on the phase of the season you're in or your training goals, cold water immersion is a key strategy that can help reduce muscle soreness, particularly if you're training soon. You can also think of other strategies related to compression. I would think about compression on a range, all the way from your standard compression tights, then towards pneumatic compression, so boots like Normatec, and also blood flow restriction. Depending on your use case, you can use all 3 of those different strategies along a continuum of blood flow to support reductions in muscle soreness. These can also help with stiffness as well. Other more advanced strategies that can help reduce muscle damage markers are things like cryotherapy, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and also red or infrared light and whole body photobiomodulation. I is for irritable, poor mood, distracted, frustrated. These are all things that we will experience when we're training. A lot of these, you'll notice, are linked to psychological components, and it's very hard to differentiate both physical and psychological. However, irritable, because of those mood, frustration, things like meditation, yoga, breathwork, mindfulness can be really helpful. Think of it as slowing you down after being wound up. A strategy that can have some dual benefit to help support relaxation, but also support the reduction of muscle damage markers and improve sleep is sauna. As you're probably noticing, a lot of the lines are blurry between the different sensations. Another factor to consider if you're irritable is, are you fatigued? Have you gotten enough sleep recently? And there's overlap here between irritable, and the next letter in the acronym T for tired. For both of these, if you feel poor mood, fatigue, stress, unable to focus, and unmotivated, the first question I would ask is, have you gotten enough sleep? Have you gotten sufficient quality of sleep as well? If the answer is no, is there an opportunity for you to nap today? If you're training or competing in the afternoon or the evening, can you get a short 15 to 30 minute nap during the day? If not, can you add a little bit more sleep on tonight? Can you go to bed a little bit earlier, or the next morning, can you wake up a little bit later? Also within tired, there are some acute strategies that you can do if you need to train straight away. First things first, are you hydrated properly? Can you ingest some fast-acting carbohydrates and caffeine? I'd also consider physical primers. Now, physical primers are strategies that you can use to elicit some acute performance benefits. Things like resisted sled sprints, power cleans, some low dose but high intensity compound movements can help acute performance. One of the main benefits of the shit recovery framework is layering and combining strategies from the different categories, so S, H, I, T, with how you feel. So if you feel one of the categories, stiff, heavy, irritable, or tired, or two, consider choosing one of the strategies from each of those sections. If you feel two or three of those, maybe combine strategies from both of those. So for example, if you're feeling irritable and sore, you might consider using cold water immersion, some form of compression, and if you have access to a sauna as well. If you feel all four of those sensations, or you feel shit, I would strongly recommend or consider readjusting training to make sure that you get the most out of your training, but also you reduce your risk of injury. If you're over fatigued, your risk of injury is going to go up, and there might be a situation where you're better off reorganizing your training week if that's possible. Now, if it isn't possible, I would certainly be looking to combine some strategies from different sections, and also looking to refuel properly, probably take some caffeine on as well, and also make sure that your recovery after this session today, when you're feeling shit, is even better than it has been before. It's also important to consider this framework with what you have access to. Not every athlete, team, or facility will have everything that's listed on this framework. For example, hyperbaric chambers, cryotherapy chambers, sauna, these things can be reserved for elite or professional setups, but even some of those don't have all of these. You also maybe only have access to these sporadically. Maybe there's a facility nearby you that you can go once a week. So what I would do is adjust the shit recovery frameworks based on what you have access to and what you can use on a consistent basis. Also consider your personal beliefs, or if you're a practitioner, your athlete beliefs, and make sure that this framework is best suited on the evidence, but also the preference of your athletes. If you've got any questions on the shit recovery framework, recovery in general, or anything related to health and performance, drop a comment and let me know.